ex machina. She made me cry in the audition, and I would like to remind everyone I'm English, so that is a feat. She's extraordinary, I think, in the film. She has such great heart. She brings an extraordinary strength to this 1920s character, who was as a pioneer, as a woman, pushing gender boundaries by insisting on her right to be a working artist, a professional, being openly driven, openly ambitious in her art. I'm very blessed to have Alicia Vikander. Eddie Redmayne and my working relationship didn't get off to a great start. In a story that's now become infamous, as he was leaving the audition, I just checked with Eddie whether he could in fact ride a horse. This was 2006, and we were making Elizabeth I together. And he said, yes, of course, of course. You know, cut to a little bit later on, Helen Mirren is Queen Elizabeth I up on the battlements. We've got 200 Lithuanian extras. We've got horses ready to ride down the street. In the centre of them, Eddie Redmayne, I call action. One horse decides to go in exactly the opposite direction from the cameras, straight through the film crew, and that was the horse ridden by Eddie Redmayne. Luckily, since then, he's been extraordinarily able to do exactly what he promises. We had an amazing experience on Les Miserables together. In fact, it was on the barricades of Les Mis that I handed Eddie this script in an unmarked envelope, rather furtively. He was always my instinct for this choice. I think he's an extraordinary actor. He prepared for a year full-time before we even turned a camera over. His conscientiousness, the depth and extent of his outreach to the trans community in London, in the US, his care for getting this character right, to honour this extraordinary, courageous transgender pioneer, Lily Elba. I've been amazed by. I'd like you to give a big hand to the great Eddie Redmayne. In the audience, we have a few people I'd like to acknowledge. Most importantly, we would not be here today without the author of the wonderful novel, The Danish Girl. This man was very, very prescient to realise the importance of this story and how this story had been overlooked, and his beautiful novel inspired us all, David Ebersoff. I've been wanting to make this film 7 years. In the world of The Danish Girl, that makes me a newbie, because the producer, Gail Mutrux, fell in love with this 15 years ago. It's been a 15-year journey to get it on the screen. I'd like you to give a big hand to Gail. This is the end of a 15-year journey, Gail. Anne Harrison, I think, has only done a modest 10 or 12 years. Is it Anne? I'd also like to give a big hand for Anne, producer. And to thank the executive producer, Linda Reisman. The reason I fell in love with this story was because of, you know, for me, still the best screenplay I've ever read. I read it in late 2008 when I was preparing King's Speech. The screenplay has hardly changed since I read it in 2008. Such was its initial brilliance. And Lucinda Coxon, again, we're here because of you. Joining me in the newbie category is Eric Fellner and Tim Bevan. Eric and Tim, we had such a great experience on Les Mis together. When I brought you this film, you've been nothing but passionately supportive. You are a fantastic home for British film, and the way you allow British films to get out into the world is exemplary, and really we owe such a lot, and I owe a lot personally. Thank you for supporting this movie, Eric and Tim. Then I would like to thank very special guests tonight. First of all, the chairman of Comcast, Brian Roberts. This is a guy who, despite running this immense organisation, still takes the time to call me when he's seen the editing progress and to tell me how he felt the film played and to discuss the evolution of the cut with me. Brian, thank you for supporting this kind of movie. It really means a lot. I'd like to thank the brilliant Donna Langley. Donna, I always remember you're the very first person who offered me a movie. You've been a supporter for years. I remember pitching you why you should make this film, and you were very supportive of the vision I had for it, and you've had an incredible year. Donna, thank you. I'd also like to thank the legend that is Ron Meyer, who's always been such a champion of filmmakers and so supportive to me. I'd like to thank the great Jeff Shell, and at Focus Features I'd like to thank Peter Schlessel, Adrian Bowles, Christine Birch and all of their team. And lastly, there are a number of people who can't be with me here tonight who really were who made the film with me. My heads of department, my editor Melanie Oliver, my cinematographer Danny Cohen, Eve Stewart, my wonderful production designer, my costume designer Paco Delgado. These are extraordinary people. I wish they could be here to share this moment. Some of them, with Melanie, this is my 6th film we've done together. There's as much of them in this movie as there is of me, and I'd like you to give me a big round of applause.